Hello, Editor Zeeg here. Quick question and favor to ask you. I am planning on putting together a quick, frequently asked question getting started guide for Ars Nouveau. And so I would like you guys, if you have any questions about the mod, how do you get started, how do I move source, any sort of random question you have, if you could put those down in the comment section, then what I can do is I can compile all of those and put them into a quick getting started video, similar to my source generation video that I did a few months ago. So if you could put that in the comment section, that'd be extremely helpful. Anyway, back to the show. Hello, this is Zeeg777, and welcome back to Ars Nouveau. Today we find ourselves in our library. We've got a few little, trinkets and, things that we've gathered around us here. Let's hop out of our seat and we can walk around and see what's going on. Not a whole lot has visually changed in this building for now. I'm still trying to get things sorted out. I've got a few shulker boxes that I'm just kind of moving things back and forth. I've started to move in, so we've got general stone things here, dirt and stuff there, saplings, logs, various wood. I'm kind of getting an organization system, and then I get to boxes like this where it's, I don't know how to organize this, so I'm just not going to. This box is empty though. We can head back over here and ideally not smash our face into the wall. Okay, so as I'm going along, I'm just kind of moving things out of our initial starting little starter camp area here, and slowly but surely, that box is empty, slowly moving things over. So things like this, maybe I'll have a bunch of maps. Maybe I'll put these in with the actual bookshelves. That's an idea. This box here is a whole bunch of enchanted books and diamond horse armor. Of course, those go together, as well as salt, because why not? Yeah, just kind of, like I said, going through, slowly sorting through the chest. We've got just a few left here, though. Most everything else is moved over, so that'll just be kind of an off-camera thing, moving back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and it's going to be very obnoxiously long. You are helpful. I need to get stack size upgrades everywhere, but that'll be a task for later. I'm taking a look at our city here and trying to figure out what I would like to do next. I know I want to build. I don't really know where I want to build or what I want to build. I have a few ideas. One is something here, maybe like a quarry, purely aesthetic really, just to kind of tie in with the more industrial side of over here. We currently have a mud factory, this little shop here. It creates mud for us. My plan is to have also some for stone and for sand, so it could expand there a bit. I've got this patch of sand right here that I can work with, something there. I would like a lot more buildings, just like smaller single-purpose buildings. We have, of course, our market square, which currently only has one little market wagon, which is just the mud. So I'll have some more stuff there later, kind of as I build more buildings at, sand and stone or wood or something. Each time I build one of those buildings, I can also build a little wagon for it over here. That portal there is just for testing. I've also got some kind of landscaping stuff over here I've been working on. And with landscaping, I also have the docks here, which I'd like to work on at some point. Not really sure the overall design for this area. I kind of like the idea of having a little raised-ish little plaza up here, maybe some buildings up in this area, and something over here. I don't really know what. Like I'd mentioned a while ago, maybe a lighthouse. I don't know if this area here actually would make sense for a lighthouse since it's sort of in this little corner of the ocean. I don't really know. Something on this little peninsula. It's more of a peninsula than an island, I suppose. And maybe have like a bridge from this pathway to over there. Could be fun. I'm not really sure. And then also, I guess, this little patch right here. This is floating. It's not really like part of the terrain, I guess. So I might blow that up as well and kind of open up this whole inlet here. And flight fell out. There we go. Let's go back up above here. Over here so we can get our flight, please. Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot we can do. I can also flood this little ravine here so it kind of matches with the water there. I could also dig it all the way to over there and have this little section here be its own island. I don't know. There's so much I want to do in the city and lots of things I want to build, and I don't know where to start. So my usual system for building things is I want to automate things that I use. And I don't really know what I use too much. So I've got, I guess for this library, for instance, we have some birch for the walls here because it's kind of similar to the sandstone, so it works nicely there. We have our mud bricks, which is just mud plus wheat, which we've already got automated. Spruce, we got lots of spruce through here. So I'm kind of thinking maybe our next build should be some form of a tree farm. This is all mangrove bookshelves. We did throw together a quick mangrove farm with Frosty Tacos just north of us here. So we can use that, but I think I might want to have something maybe closer to home here so that it can be running while I'm working around the base. We can do this a couple ways. We can do it as a general purpose tree farm. We can do it as just dedicated individual tree farms. That's an idea. We could have a house for spruce, a house for mangrove, a house for whatever else we want. We should probably automate some of the archwood as well. That might make sense. I'm not currently using that in the building here, but it's always useful to have that. I walked over here, and of course I don't have flight over here, do I? Over here? There we go. Right about here is where I can get it. So we have this area here, this big patch here is really flat, and I think that means we can put a building here. Now I think what I'll do is I have this little pathway. I think I'm going to continue it over to here a little bit, and maybe like cross over here, maybe it will work. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. So I can take this, switch it to floor mode. We've got a fair amount of dirt on us. So with this in replacement mode, we can basically just kind of go like that, and we have a path. Cool. And not having measured anything whatsoever, we'll do that over here as well. That now blocks off that area there. We've got enough room that we can build a building here, and our entrance we can put it wherever, and this little path will be able to continue over to this district over here, which is currently unclaimed for anything. I suppose another option would be actually working on this building here. That's an idea. But that's an idea for another day. So a tree farm, what are we going to do? There's a lot of options here, as there always is in Minecraft. We can do it as either actual farming, where we grow a tree and then chop it down, grow a tree, chop it down. We could do that. It'll take quite a bit of vertical space. Mangrove is pretty tall. I don't suppose I have any mangrove on me. Nope, don't see any. Probably in there, but I didn't see it. So that's one option. Another is, let's grab these out. Let's turn that off, because I don't want to accidentally wipe these. We can put you over here and over here. I'm pretty sure I have mangrove in here. Or not. Nope. Oh well. Mangrove's pretty tall, so if we were to build this as an actual farm, we'd either need to have it be very vertical or have it go down and have like the base of the tree be, you know, like 5-10 blocks below us here. That's an option. I think there is the Compuchanter is underground here though. I'm not entirely sure how far it comes over. So that's one thing. The other option is set up whirly sprigs. So I haven't really used them before, mostly because I like the actual building of individual farms for things. But that's an option which would get us all the different types of wood without having to have a lot of very tall buildings, one for each tree. I'm not sure what I want to do. So the obvious advantage of a whirly sprig is that I can have one building here, maybe have it like a greenhouse type thing, and I can grow all the different types of trees by just, you know, plopping down some logs. I bet these guys here will also be automated by that. The bastion fruit, etc., cocoa beans even. Those can probably all go in here and just be fully automatic. And I won't have to do much, just one big building and they'll do everything for me. The downside of that though is actually the same as the positive in that it would just be one build. Because I do want to have lots of buildings throughout the city. It's a city, not a small village. So if I do one big building here that does everything for me, then I wouldn't have a separate building for netherwort or for you know, bastion fruit and what's this one here, mendostine. I definitely want to automate this one because it's something you can eat, as well as it gives you this recovery effect, which heals you faster. So it's useful to have. What is this? Oh, saguaro. Okay. I'm not entirely sure how a saguaro is a crop. Are those big cactus? I'm pretty sure they're big normally. Anyway, getting distracted. We could do this as one big build and it'll do everything for us, or maybe we could just do smaller builds and this could just be just for wood. So we could have all the tree types in here, build like little bonsai trees of each type. That would be an idea. And then that still wouldn't rule out necessarily doing like a netherwort little flower shop over there or something. That could work. But I also like the mechanics of building a tree farm. Alright, well I wanted to figure out where I am in relation to the Compuchanter, so I dug a hole right here, and this area here is actually, this is the back wall. If I dig through here, we can see into the actual area here. This is basically just an area for the signal to go along that collects all the different enchantments as he goes, as well as the hopper line to return all of those. So, got a lot of room. So if we get an idea of what we want to do for the trees, we have a few different types of saplings here that kind of grow in different ways. Archwood. So this one here, if we treat these 4 squares as the base of the tree, so just in the inventory here, the sapling in this corner here will grow to a 2x2 area. 1 sapling does that. Dark oak, meanwhile, you need 4 saplings to be able to grow 1 tree. So a little bit more expensive in terms of these saplings, and hopefully you can get a good return on those. Oak. Oak is oak. Oak goes straight up, ideally. If you have a roof over the top of it, then it'll stop it from branching out. Fairly simple. Acacia is a little more awkward than the oak. If it grows up, it can grow at an angle then, so it'll kind of sprout up and then pop to the side. So that one's a little bit more difficult to farm in that respect, but can be done in a similar way to oak if we use some spell turrets. Spruce, we have 2 ways of growing it. It can either be a single one, or we can do a 2x2. If we want just a single smaller tree or a bigger one, similar to jungle, basically the same as jungle really. So we could grow those 2. I'm just going to treat those as the same sapling for now. And last but not least, mangrove. So mangrove is of course an interesting one. If we go ahead and grow this, let's I can get rid of this one. Let's grab a few more sand first. Clear you. Let's see, if we do touch and a couple grow, we can see this. There we go. It's an annoying tree to grow, but we can actually do it fairly simply with turrets. If we fly over this direction, we can show what we built before. So up here by Frosty Tacos, we have, you can see the mangrove is grown up over the top here. Vines growing everywhere, that's fine. This setup here is, we just kind of threw this together in about 20 minutes one night. We have touch grow, or touch place block grow. So you'd put a bunch of saplings, propagules in here, and it will then grow. Once that grows, the observer will trigger, causing this projectile fell AoE 8 to fire straight up. So in general, with the mangrove, sapling goes here, or propagule, whatever, it grows here, and then there's some branches that come down. Now the roots there, they can be felled just as well as everything else, and so if this fires, in fact we can go ahead and fire it. This is a rune of pickup, by the way. So if I just plop down anything here, it will trigger that and chop down the tree. That falls down, and in general, something is going to land on that rune, which then picks up everything around it, so most of the output goes in here. So lots of roots. I don't really need any roots, but that's a thing. So that's kind of how this one would grow. You're going to fire again. We'll go like that. Break you. Cool. Thank you. So that's one option. It's a very tall tree there, but it's easy enough to automate with the spell turrets here. We have a bunch of jars. We can show this in fully automatic. This is just a hopper with stone bricks in it. Just goes around in a circle and triggers an observer or comparator each time. We can place that there, and it just kind of keeps going. Not perfect. Sometimes it'll miss. Sometimes it'll fire extra. But in general, it's pretty effective. Turn you off. And really, once something lands on there, assuming there's room in here, which of course there isn't. Yeah, whenever anything lands in here, it pulls everything into the chest. Easy enough, pretty simple. It works. It works. That is a very tall tree. It's taller than my palm tree. We might be able to have some blocks above it to prevent it from growing that high. That might work. Maybe. Not entirely sure. But it's at least an idea. The rest of these are going to be growing kind of similar, like a tall spruce is going to grow at least that tall as well, same with jungle, so that is something to keep in mind. But everything else should be a fairly small footprint. Dark oak is mostly just, it's wide, I think. So if I, we have magic for this. Grow you, plop, plop, plop in there. And if I grow this, it's not too bad. So if I were to have a building around this and be chopping down dark oak, it would only need to be about that tall, that's doable. That is a little much. We can kind of get around that by having it go down into the floor. Like I mentioned, we've got quite a bit of room over here. Just the depth itself is pretty far before it matters. And then, of course, this is kind of the extent of the eastern direction of the Compachanter anyway. So we could go down like a good 10 blocks or so if we wanted. So you could like walk in and then go down some stairs or something. That's an idea. I'm not sure if I like that idea though. It is an idea. Now I'm curious with acacia, if I were to grow you, I wonder if I can have this use basically the same mechanic as that mangrove farm, where it just has a single spot that it plants it, and once that updates, then it will fire upwards. That's an idea. So the mangrove one works on a slightly different principle to a lot of other farms. So a lot of times what will happen is if you have, let's say like redstone with dust going into it, like that. Obviously dust isn't going to go through, but if I were to pull it through with a comparator, then that will send a signal through. Another option is kind of going this way instead, in which case this will hard power that, and I can power the redstone. So with previous vanilla trees, you could do something like this, where you have power going to a block, and then that will then power, in this case, a spell turret. Or you could have the turret off to the side, or wherever you'd want, really. A lot of automated tree farms kind of work off of this principle. Mangrove obviously doesn't work because it doesn't have a log form where you have the sapling. Yes. So once it grows, then you now have the roots on the sides there. So that doesn't necessarily work, but it works in the case over there because we have an observer watching for the propagule to disappear. Technically also it gets planted, so it fires twice, but we don't really care. Anyway, that's an option. So what we could do is, if I did a similar idea to the mangrove farm, that would also work for acacia. So I could do this in a couple different types of farms. So like mangrove and acacia can go as one style. I could probably do an oak sapling the same way, where it's basically going to be, where's my observers? Mute, thank you. Observer watching that, and then turret like that, which I think will work. So if I do, that doesn't work. You can set spells, by the way, now with casting by shift right clicking on it. However, yeah, that doesn't work if your spell is a break spell. I can switch you to fell. That should work. Okay, and then if I grow you, hey observer, did you observe a change? Ah, yes, it did. However, I forgot power. A couple of you. Let's try this again. Okay, so that would work. And I should put a disclaimer here. This spell as written is not the spell that I'll be using, because the chaining AoE was intended for a break spell, but I can't set it with that directly right now. I think I can still do it through the use of a scribe table and the spell parchment. Do I have a spell parchment? I do. Do I have a scribe table? Yes, I do. Okay, so we can still set it this way, which I think is what I'll do if I switch you out for break again. Let's put spell on there, set spell, there we go. That'll work, okay. So that also gives us the ability to auto pickup. Although in this case, so the nice thing with chaining on a spell turret is that it'll pick up everything on that break, whereas with fell, it'll break it, then the items will fall, and so the pickup won't necessarily get everything. But as we saw with the oak sapling here, is that going to pick up every growth? Quite an effective leaf remover. Not necessarily what we want for this though. So I think what we would do in this case is the projectile fell spell like we have over there. You know what, let's max out the AoE on that anyway. Set you on there, projectile fell AoE 8, and do a similar system to what we did before with the pickup rune. So, you know, we can do touch rune sensitive. This was also mentioned on the comments, the last one. So you can actually do this directly from your own inventory. So that will send things back to my base. Useful. I also, however, would want maybe like a filter item on here. There's a lot of things you can do with blink runes, so just kind of one of many. At the moment, though, I want to change this to be a touch rune and pickup. Where is pickup? And pickup. And all the AoE on this one. So if I place you right there, let's grab our chalk. So this will do kind of similar to the mangrove farm over there. Once this grows, this will cast Fell. Let's go ahead and put, that'll work. Break you, chops the whole thing down, one of them falls onto the rune, and everything goes into the chest. So, cool, works. So I'm looking at this setup, and I think in general, this will actually work for almost anything. For instance, the archwood I can also grow here. The only problem is with this current situation, the orientation's wrong. Because if I plant a sapling, and of course can't plant it on there, if I plant a sapling, it has to be the northwest corner. The rest of the tree will be to the southeast there. So this setup here is not ideal. I just need to rotate it a little bit. If I put my observer on this side, for instance, that should work. So you're facing the wrong way. There. No, still facing the wrong way. There. Okay, so it'll grow like this, and I think I can actually use the same setup for just about any tree. So just replicating that, facing this direction, and probably the placing turret will be here. I think that will work for everything except for dark oak, and if I want to do large spruce or large jungle trees, because those are going to need a 2x2 of saplings. But I think for the single sapling variants, I think I can get away with just doing something like this. Archwood itself, if it grows up, then this turret should be the right height. Another option is if I were to break you and put, say, a solid block into this, it should power dust right there. So I've rotated it here. We have our observer now facing this direction so that the sapling will be, once again, the northwest corner. We have spell turret there for placing, spell turret here with projectile fell AoE, and I think what we would do then is maybe a chest here, and probably put our rune right there. Rune right there. Add some chalk to make you last forever, or at least 63% more. And you need to be a planting turret. So if I put a chest there, we can put some saplings in here, like so, and set you to be touch, and we want to place block, touch, place block. Let's add probably 4 grows on there, maybe a few more, touch, which will plant it, and grow it. I think that's all I need. You can go there, you're set, that's fine. Now I think all I need to do is add a single button for our testing, and it should work. Cool. That does work. There is a slight problem there with the delay of placing, or the delay of picking these up, because some of them will still fall, because it's just going to trigger the instant the first item hits it. But in general, that works. I mean, that gave us, I started with 1 sapling, we got 10 saplings, 54 logs. Not too bad. Pretty simple farm, and this one just press the button to make it work. So touch, place, block, grow. I could probably get away with fewer grows on there, and you projectile fell AoE 8, and then a rune of pickup and AoE 8 as well. Or I guess 7, because it's a rune. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. That works, I think. And of course, obviously I'd want to automate this, and ideally be able to have it automatically pick which saplings it needs to grow each time. I'm not entirely sure how I want to do that, though. I should also point out that this is not a cheap source cost, so we're at 48 right now. Let's grab 1 more sapling, put you in here. And we're down to 32%. And a bit left over. I'm not too worried about the extra stuff sitting around here, though. the next tree that grows will pick them up, so I'm not too concerned about that, but it is something to keep in mind. But yeah, that did use over 10% of a jar. It was, what did I say, 48. We're down to 32, so that's 16%. A little expensive, but like I said, if we're growing with blazing archwood, one stack of blazing archwood logs is, I think, 80% of a jar anyway. So you get pretty much that whole jar. Well, you get 80% of a jar from a single tree, basically. So you'd probably have to have a good source to work with this, but we also have that fully automated anyway with over there. We'll just route the power to over here. We can also quickly demonstrate that this will work on propagules as well. Same basic concept. Although apparently it missed the rune. There we go. So that's something to keep in mind. Thoughts and ideas. First off, kind of going back to where we had left off before, this is currently what we've got. I will be moving this over here, but we'll get to that in a little bit. The thing is, this can handle pretty much everything, except it couldn't do, what was it? I think it couldn't do large spruce, and I think jungle saplings it was having trouble with, because if I tried growing it, yeah, large jungle just it doesn't work. So that's kind of an issue, but we can also get away with that. Basically, if I just put these in here, I have 4 in here right now. I've got lots of source, that's good. No jungle saplings in here. I've got some jungle logs, but if I do this, you notice we didn't get any saplings from that. I did switch this out. I've got AoE 7 with a single fortune on there to try to get a little bit better odds. We got 2 that time, so maybe that'll help. This also doesn't regularly trigger the rune over there, so that's sort of an issue, but that's just kind of a minor issue. We can actually, there's no reason for this to be over here. It might make sense for it to be right here instead, so it's a little bit closer, especially for the single trees here. Let's throw a sand on here just to collect everything. Give me my sand back. Okay, we got 5 jungle saplings now. So with 1 fortune, it's sometimes better. It's hard to tell. Jungle saplings are kind of hard to get anyway, just out of they don't give as many saplings per leaf block, or per however many leaf blocks. So that's sort of a problem, but we might be able to get away as long as we have at least 1 fortune on here. It seems like that's roughly positive. Hard to tell. Next on the list is dark oak. So we kind of have a method here we can use. If I go ahead and take some dark oak here, if I do 1, 2, and 3 and have those just already be there, we can throw, we'll just throw 1 in here for now. If I press the button, it places it, chops it down, and everyone's happy. How did nothing land on that rune? Cool. That seems to work. It gave us, it's net positive on those, so that's fine. The main thing is I need to get these placed first. But I actually don't need to worry about that. What I can do is, if I were to dig below there, and I'm just going to demonstrate over here, because once again, that is a temporary location. It's going to move more centered into this building. I should also, I guess, point out we have a bit of an outline. Where is my flight? Over here. We have a little bit of an outline here, and some pedestals that we'll talk about in a moment here. But if I go down here, and let's go ahead and grab a spell prism facing up. That's just to help me with aiming here. Let's go up a few blocks and grab some dirt. I've got a little bit of dirt, that's fine. Blazing archwood, you can go back to base. Rune here is using my warp to my storage hall, and it sends it back over there. So if we have a spell that goes up from the bottom and hits the dirt, there's a few things we can do with this. Let me move some things around my inventory here, specifically so that the first block in my inventory is the saplings here. And if I go with, I had a block here, or a spell here, but I was working on something else. If I do projectile and place block, where are you? Alphabetical order as always, place block. And if we give this 1 AoE, that'll be a 2x2. So there's our 4 saplings. But if I have some pierce on here, specifically I need 2, and I think this should work. So if I fire this, it plants 4 saplings right on top, right where we need them. You will notice that once again it is the northwest corner here that matters. We hit here, hits this block, places it into these 4 spots. Basically the idea is the spell hits and first tries to place a block here, because that's where it hit on that side of the block. It's going to try to place blocks in these 4 positions right here. Obviously that failed because it's saplings, that doesn't actually work there. But then it continues through because we have, if I go back to my spell here, we have 2 pierces. So the first pierce is going to say, oh, by the way, also try to place blocks in this row where there's dirt. Well, that'll also fail because there's dirt there. Next up, go 1 block further and place another set of 4 saplings. And there we go, we have 4 saplings right on top. So we can actually apply that same thing over here with a spell turret going up from the bottom, hit the bottom of the dirt block right here, and it'll just place all 4. We can synchronize that up to the same clock system over here so that if it gets a sapling, it'll, just plant everything. We could also, now that I think about it, if we have, that's going to take more logic. I was trying to think if we could use the same turret just on the bottom and have it place 4, depending on if it's the dark oak or not. I think what we'll just do is we'll route our dark oak saplings to be underneath here and just place from the bottom. I think that'll work. But overall, I think this general idea is sort of working. And there's no hidden redstone here. It's literally just 1 single redstone wire here. 2 target blocks, which probably don't even need to be target blocks. I'm pretty sure if those were not target blocks, since the redstone would just be a cross, that it'll automatically power those anyway. But whatever, this works. And we don't need to worry about timing or anything. This will go up, it'll hit the trees. That's fine. This works for everything. We can just move this right over here in the center. The hard part of this whole design is going to be what you see around us here, these pedestals. My grand idea here, and I'll call it the grand idea because I don't even know if it's possible, but we're going to see, is I would like to have it so that this whole system will just automatically grow every single type of tree, every single one of them that I can, automatically without me having to do anything, so that I can come over here, I can just grab from a chest here, and this would be filled with, say, dark oak. I can just come over here, grab a stack or 2 out of here, grab a stack of jungle wood, oak, whatever, and walk away. And it'll just automatically start replanting the trees as they are needed, one at a time. Is it efficient? No, of course not. It's growing only 1 tree at a time. I've got 14 different types of trees here. But I think it'll be a fun circuit. The thing is, I don't know if I can do this or not. So I have a few ideas. My thought is, I have a chest, and actually I had a thought this morning. I'm going to just kind of work on camera here with redstone, because that's always a wonderful idea. So I've got signal coming out of the chest. This will be where wood is stored, and we'll have something here next to it to input a certain amount of power. I don't know what yet, but something. That will then go into this block here, which will then be powering a hopper. So again, redstone live on camera, let's try it. This pedestal here will then hold a single sapling, so let's throw all of our dark oak there. You're not supposed to be there. In fact, let's not do this with dark oak. Dark oak is the weird one. Give me that, thank you. Let's go and try this with regular oak. Yeah. So this will be filled with regular oak wood in here. This hopper will have a chest on top of it, like so, with oak saplings in it. So at any given time, there will be a single oak sapling right here. Next up, comparator. I don't want you to be there. I want a solid block, and we will deal with the actual block itself later on. For now, it's just cobblestone because I'm not using it anywhere else. So this is still able to read through here. If I throw just a block in there, this is still pulling out the signal. Currently, it's saying power 1, which hitting the solid cobblestone here is then locking the hopper. So if we notice, if I pull out this sapling, there's no longer a sapling there. Nothing there. So basically it's only going to be putting a sapling on the pedestal to be turned into a tree if this is currently empty. So obviously we'll have some signal strength stuff going into here, but basically it means I can have this so that it will stop a sapling from being available for the system unless it's ready, if that makes sense. So now for the weird circuit part, and that is I need to take this sapling and deliver it to our farming system, which again is going to be somewhere in this neighborhood. Doesn't really matter where for right now. And my plan for that is spell turrets. So a spell turret can cast the spell Toss, which will grab a stack out of any adjacent inventory and throw it into another inventory. And you can, of course, route this, because this is a spell, you can route it around with spell prisms. So we could do something like, if we go up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sure, why not? And let's push our spell this direction. So we could have, it'll shoot a spell up, hit the spell prism, go along a chain, and eventually end up at our growth area, basically just into this chest. I think this general idea should work. The problem, and the reason why I don't know if it's possible to even do what I want, is I need to now power this turret. I suppose I could use a timer turret, and then I don't have to do anything. That's an idea. For that matter, I could also be powering the turret with the comparator. That's another idea. Okay, lots of ideas. I'll go with what I'm currently thinking, because it may or may not work. So in order to power the turret here, we do need to send a signal into the side of it, and I'm wondering if I can power this. I'm thinking that's probably going to power the comparator, but I also don't think I care. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't care. Let's break that. Let's put just a solid block here for now, just to do a quick test. If I put this here, yeah, it's going to power the comparator, but again, I don't think I care, because all that's going to do is temporarily lock the pedestal. It's not going to be overriding this. So if I've got, anything in here, that's already going to be on anyway, and it changes that from a power of 1 to a power of 15. It makes no difference. It's still locked. So I think that's fine. So if I do that, what I could just do then is, if I stick repeaters here, I can basically just kind of loop around in a big circuit, and it will send one of each sapling over to the, input chest. I think this might work. Let me go ahead and move all these around. Blocks there, block there, block there, and our chests are right here. 1, 2, and 3. Are you gonna be a problem? You might be a problem, because you'll be here. Do I care? How much room do I have over here? I might be able to just bump this out a little bit. I got a bit of space here. Okay, so if needed, I can move this area back 1. That would be fine. Not too concerned about that. I think this idea might work. Let's put our repeater back in and once again power it. We can kind of see. In fact, let me sleep real quick so we can have a bit more light. I think this will work. Do I not have repeaters here? Oh well. Put you back on. 4 ticks on both of those. I just want it to be a very slow loop, because I don't want to completely overwhelm the system. I wanted to send kind of one at a time and have time to grow each of these before it comes back around and starts powering again. So I might do this on a timer of some sort, maybe like a hopper clock. I might just have it depend on whether or not, maybe I could check to see if there's anything in this chest. And if there's nothing in here, then pulse it. Some sort of clock on that too. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But I think overall this system should be working roughly. Let me move you over here. So I don't want to break that because there's a lot of stuff in there. Can break these. That's fine. Pick these up. Give me that. Give me that block. Thank you. Where do we want? So center is going to be right here. This is going to be odd centered because I've got 5 here. My plan, by the way, for the saplings is this row here will be the archwood. There's 5 archwood because we have, if I look up sapling, we have 5 archwood starting with flashing, cascading, vexing, flourishing, and blazing. So 5, that'll go there. And I don't really care where everything else goes, to be honest. It'll work. And slightly annoying that it is going to be odd centered with an even 2x2 area here, but I think that's probably fine, to be honest. Break you, turn you into the target blocks like I just had. Boop, boop. And you get a redstone dust right there. And a button. Cool, that's basically done. Do I not have any dirt on me? Apparently not. Cool. Yeah, that works. Next up, we need our rune. You can move pretty much wherever. I do want a little bit of control over a few things here. Let me back my chest, please. Thank you. So, let's see. If I could put the chest right here. Is that going to cause a problem? maybe. I don't know, I'm going to play around with the circuit on this because basically I'm going to use a similar kind of auto dropper system I had over in the computer system there. Only instead it's going to be reading a chest. And I think, actually if I break this, put a dot right there, and put a solid block above that. Today's redstone on camera day. I think what I can do now is comparator reading out of here. It's going to get in the way, isn't it? I want you underground. Let me mess around and see what I can do to compact this circuit. Maybe. My thought is, right now I have a barrel here. So ideally we'd have a starbuncle or something. They'd carry items over to the barrel here. Saplings would go into this chest, or barrel, once again. That'll be read by the comparator, comes over here, same auto dropper circuit as before, goes into a block, powers a redstone dot or cross next to it. That powers this cobblestone, which is pulled out by the repeater, loops back into the comparator to make it cycle on and off. I also am then pulling this off with a repeater at the bottom here into this block, which is then powering both the barrel and the sandstone. Barrel is a solid block, at least with my testing. I'm able to hard power it, which should be powering this spell turret here. We can test that if I just give you a real basic clear. I want touch and place block. So I'll have to do some testing to see if I can grow with the dirt here surrounded by moss carpet, because I wanted to cover up the circuit as well just to do some testing with this. There you go. So you can't really tell that there's a circuit here once this will be done. We have a touch place block in here, and if I go here and place a single dot in there, it'll place it down. So that works. You can power the barrel and it'll fire that. I would assume works because that's the same system as it was before. Might replace you with a moss or dirt or something. Not really sure. But I think in general this it's just moved the circuit over here. It should work. Next up, we may want maybe replace this one and this one with a chest, double chest. There and there, and we can place our rune on top of that. Nope, not that one. You, clear you. I want just touch and rune and item pickup. And lots of AoE. I could technically squeeze another AoE out of this one, but I'm not too concerned, to be honest. Let's go ahead and some chalk. Where'd my chalk go? There we go. Alright, rune's now permanent. I think this should be slightly better than that system, just because it's a little bit closer. I'll also actually need to go here. Rune, I need filter item. Actually, do I? So if I have filter item, then it'll only trigger when an item falls on it, which is kind of the ideal case, because it is going to be picking up items. On the other hand, there's going to be a starbuncle running around here, and if he steps on the rune, all that's going to do is going to try to pick things up again. It's only 1% of a jar for this thing, so it's not really that expensive. So I think I'm actually going to do without the filter on it. That way, if there's items over here, if Starbuncle runs along, it'll just pick up the items anyway. So I think that's actually going to be better, because that way, even if it doesn't fall directly on there, like with the jungle trees there, it wasn't always landing on the rune. I think this works. We might change the color to something else, but you can access the inventory in here. Starbuncle will come along, pick it up, and drop stuff off in the applicable chests. I think that this should be basically how I want it. Next up, I need to figure out this circuit here. And maybe I can hire Zachros to come along later and make this place look fancy. But for now, I'm just going to have kind of a bit of grass. I think, let's not step on that. I think I'll just have the whole area in here be the moss. I think that'll work. And we'll have a little step down around here. I think that is fine. There's going to be a redstone dot here, so this does need to have a carpet over the top of it. Go kind of like that. And maybe we'll do some sort of like stairs that go down. So cover up this side. I think that'll be fine. Next up, I'm actually going to move this wall, like I mentioned. I'm going to move it back one. Do I have parts on me? Yes. So I can move you back one. And I think that'll give us a little bit more room so that I don't have to move all these forward. I think that'll look a little bit better if I have a bit more room. Let's break all these. And fill you in. Line from you to here. Cool. This is also where I point out that the blocks used here are really just a temporary block. I'm not entirely sure what I want the design of this building to look like. We'll probably get to that in the next episode. For now, I just want to get this thing up and running. Alright, I think the actual routing of items should be easy, but that's also kind of one of those things. I'm thinking I'm going to have the kind of more traditional saplings over here. So I've got oak, and that is spruce. You can go there. You are birch. You go there. Jungle, and acacia. So these grow fairly simple. Just a single tree will grow up just fine. That will remain. Then over here I'll have the dark oak. So where did dark oak go? You were over here. Dark oak can come over here. We'll put that one there, because that one kind of grows a little differently. So that'll go there. You can go inside that. And saplings can go in as well. Let's see. Next up we have mangrove, which also is going to have these propagules. So propagules, roots, apples, and sticks are sort of the weird ones that we'll get. Oh, also I guess moss carpet. So those are some extra items. I think I'll have storage for those along this side. And I'll probably use the sophisticated storage for that, because then I can set those to be voided, because I'm probably going to get a lot of mangrove roots, and I probably won't need that many. So these will go over on this side, though, because they're sort of a special exception where they have to grow a little differently. And you go in there, thank you. And right now I'm just throwing the extras into here, because this can be, I'll have the Starbuncle pull from this chest and then pull to everything else. And I think that should be good. So archwood will be here. I don't have all the saplings on me at the moment. And then these two here are for cinnamon and fake oak. This is from occultism. It's an otherworld sapling, but if it grows naturally, then it looks like an oak. You can get them to be the, what is it? I think it's called a stable sapling. Yeah, so those can be grown with automation. The regular ones can't be automated, but I think I'll just leave that one open for now. It'll just be empty. I think overall, though, it's coming together. So this area here, you are starting to get emptied. Blazing, you can grab that. And now this chest can be emptied. You are empty. Okay, you can go away. You can also go away. I'll break that later. Yeah, kind of cleaning up at this point, and this should be roughly working. This splitter goes to two locations. One is down there beneath what will eventually be a fountain at some point, maybe, I promise. This also then sends over to this direction here, currently just going to this guy here. Cool. You then route to another splitter here, which branches off, I guess to here first, then comes over here, which powers our mud factory. At some point I'm going to clean up these relays, but at some point is not today. So at the moment I've got that nearest one, is either that one or that one. If I send you down to right here, right there, let's grab our wand, and we want to say, hey you, send over here. Cool. And from you, we can send to this jar right here. 100% full. Perfect. I'll have a moss carpet over that. I think I have a couple in here. Yeah, that'll work. So you are now hidden. All of our power is now underground, and it roughly works. So I still need to set these guys. They need to be set properly. I'm pretty sure I can plant saplings on moss. I probably should have checked that. I remember reading that they could. Where are my saplings? They're over here, aren't they? Oak, I'm pretty sure can. Yeah, I think all these can. I'm not going to bother testing all of them. I think that should work. I will clean up the floor here a bit. Well, actually, I'll probably make it messier, but it'll look better. Maybe not clean. But in general, I think this is good. I'll probably have something over these. I don't know if it'll be moss carpets or what. you know, I actually do kind of like this. The green with the brown works well. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. This needs to have that block, that dust needs to be there, and this block needs to be here. So I'll still mess around with the floor here a little bit. Maybe I'll make the sides come in a little bit, but the back not so much. I don't know. I'll play around with it and see what it looks good. This chest here is now good to go. It can be broken. I'm going to keep that rune there for now. Chest, or not chest, crafting table. I don't need you anywhere, so I'll put you here for now. Alright, cleaned up a little bit. Let's go ahead and grab some of each of the saplings here. I already have blazing there. We'll grab a few more, why not? I think that should basically be everything, at least for materials. Let's head back over there. And I made myself a whole bunch more of these spell prisms, so we can take this, and I need to figure out what I want to do with it. So, what can we do? Actually, I'm kind of curious if this counts as a solid block. If this counts as a solid block, that might be a better idea, because then I can route things down instead of using this block here. Let's do some testing. So, science. Prism goes there. If I have a repeater go into it, let's store these first. All sorts of getting distracted. You, and then blue, purple, green, and then red. Okay. So, might as well keep the order in JEI, why not? Cool, that goes there. And once we get some logs, we can put those in as well. Cool. Now, what was I saying? Over here, let's take a repeater. Comparator would work. Where are my repeaters? Right, I used all my repeaters. Let's grab a few of these, and do I have any sticks? I never have the parts that I need when I need them, which is actually a big part of why I'm doing this, so I can get, things I need. Let's see, torches, there and there, another set of torches. Let's grab a bit more redstone, and we need 2, 3, cool. Let's craft that into some repeaters. You, plus you, plus you, and you, and you, and you. Thank you. Okay, so we have our prism here, which will be facing down, but I don't think the direction is going to matter. We can test that though. Basically, if it's going into the face versus if it's going into the side, I don't think it will matter. And if we take more redstone dust and a button right there. Okay, so, yes, does power it. Cool. And we'll test here as well. Yes, it is also powering that, so this counts as a solid block for redstone parts, which is good. So instead of routing things up to the surface and having it go up above, which can then be, things way up in the air here, I'd rather have everything be down below. That way the only thing that's up in the air is either going to be the trees or decorative parts, not components that we need. So with that, if we break out these blocks, and the Starbuncle step assist is going to be painful here. Let's see. Let's go down this way, I think. So if I go down here, wherever there's a chest, go one further. Okay. Here's chest, go one further. Chest, one further. Okay. Well, let's have fun. And now we can go down here and place spell prisms all along here where there's currently a solid block. So let's break all of those as well, I suppose. All right, and spell prisms here going down. Do I actually want that? So if I have this go down, it doesn't really do much because that's already where the turret will be facing. So I'm going to switch the turret to be facing downwards, so that's going to be another thing I'll have to break. Yeah. Because it's going to basically double the number of spell prisms I need, and that just broke 2 repeaters. Cool. Because what I'll have to have then is, if we have you face this way, like this, then spell will come down and then follow along the bottom row of prisms here until it hits the front one here, which will eventually get it over to this barrel, which we can probably do from underneath. I need to go underneath still as well for the dark oak. For now, I'm kind of just ignoring dark oak, and it's sort of going to be just an add-on later. I think that will be fine. Let's put some solid blocks here, please. There we go. And just a whole bunch of spell prism placing now. No big deal. And of course, this is why you don't do redstone on sand. You should probably put a solid block underneath it, specifically a solid block that will stand out, which is of course why I'm using sandstone here, because I don't use sandstone anywhere else in my city. So yeah, it makes sense, right? Yeah, I think so. I'm reminded somewhat of Ender.io with this because we're basically sending items and redstone through the same block. So we've got the toss turrets here, which will send their item down through the spell prism. But at the same time, we're also having a line of redstone that's going to be sending a signal along, powering the prism to power the turret above it. Why is there... You don't go here. Why do I have an extra turret? That's a little troubling. We'll figure that out later. We've got 5 over there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there, and 4 there, which is 14 last I checked. Apparently we have an extra turret. Okay, whatever. But like I said, we're sending items down through here, sending redstone across that way, and then underneath here we have, so while the redstone is going clockwise here, going all the way around, we have our spell prisms going counterclockwise. And I was looking at this thinking, where do I want this to go? So right here, this one is currently aimed this direction. I was thinking bounce it into here. But then I got to thinking, this particular sapling anyway needs to be treated differently. This is a dark oak. It needs to be placed from underneath in the 2x2. So why don't instead I have that one go here on its own path and take this spell prism, which is going to be basically the last prism for all the other saplings, and instead have it go through here. So let's clear these so we can see what's going on. And of course, once again, I have redstone on sand because I'm a redstoner. Cool. Let's put this on a solid block, please. And dust on top of you. Now, if I go over here, we can take a look at this. We might have to go down an extra one here because once again that's a solid block. That is a solid block. We could let's go make some more prisms. I should have some archwood in here. 1, 2, 3, 4 should be enough. Turn you into a... That was the wrong block. Make a few more of these. Cool. 5 should be plenty. Okay, so, right. I keep getting kind of distracted midway through a sentence coming up with an idea, but if I have this be a solid block being a prism, we can once again do the exact same thing that we were just doing. Put that on top. That will then power the moss block there and the barrel there to power the 2 turrets, while at the same time allowing our items to go through without being blocked from right here. If I go right there, that's now facing up into the barrel. So, in theory, anytime I send an item through, let's go ahead and try this with, let's not do mangrove for our first one. We'll put you in here anyway, though. Let's take a oak sapling, because that's just a good one to do. If we take an oak, go over here, put you into our pedestal, and I'm just going to power this manually, I think, with a button here for now. And let's get our spell set up. You will be a projectile, and you shall be toss. Toss right there. Cool. So if I right click on you, projectile toss, and power you, hopefully you're within range, you may not be. Apparently you're not. So if we put a redstone relay, not redstone, if we put a relay there and reveal our friend, where are you? Where did I put that? Is that under here? Ah, there we go. You are a relay. So if I send from this relay over to this relay, I can then send from you to our jar there, as well as another jar that will be over here. Right there. Send. Good. And that was one out from the edge. I'm also going to put one, put another jar here. And I like having a central relay to do all this. So we'll go from here to here. So it's going to come in from over there, hit the bottom relay from this relay over to the relay in the middle there, which is going to spread it to all the other jars. Jar here should fill these guys, and this one over here should work here. So I'm actually curious. Let me set up this turret as well. All right, let's try this out. So we're going to press the button. It's going to go over here. Will ideally trigger the projectile toss turret. That's going to go down through all the spell prisms and eventually make its way over to the barrel. Barrel is going to go up there. It's going to recognize that there's an item in there. It's going to plant it, grow it, chop it down, and go into the chest. Let's see if any of that works. Spell fired. That's good. Nothing. So, what went wrong? It did take the item. It took the sapling. You are not in here. Right. Right there. Remember this whole thing? We don't need it. We just need one right there. Okay, and a regular solid block can go there with our redstone dot on top of you. Sapling can go back over here where it goes, and we can set this over again and pretend none of that ever happened. It'll loop around, plants over there, and didn't grow. Of course it didn't. Why didn't you grow? Take 83, sapling goes in, tree gets chopped. Okay, that worked. Let's try this again. I'm going to put more saplings over here so I don't have to keep refilling you. You can go right in. Thank you. And fire. Cool. It works. So apparently we don't want to have too many moss carpets here because it will disrupt that. I did add a couple more grow in here, so now grow 8 instead. It was only 6 before, but seriously, 6 bone meal should have worked. One more test here. I'm going to call it the half capacity test. So I've now put in all of the archwood there, but I'm just going to be testing with the regular saplings here. I want to see if this works. So basically it's going to keep firing each of the turrets in order. Only it's not because I forgot to set the turrets, didn't I? You can go here. You get that one. You also get toss. And you. Let's do all of them while we're at it, because I will forget again. There you go. You don't even have anything. You won't have... Nope. Fun fact, if you cast the toss spell, it will throw whatever you have in your inventory. Don't do that. You get projectile toss. You get toss as well. Okay. Let's see. This should now work. If I press U. Let's see. Why did I only hear 3? Okay, I think what happened was it was firing it too quickly, and so it was trying to place the block and it just instead like tossing it or something. I'm not entirely sure. Let's bump you up to a delay of 4. It's going to be a much slower clock, but I think it will be okay. That's still, just a 4-second or 4-tick thing. So you all have that. So let's try this again. We should get our oak, spruce, birch. Jungle didn't work, and neither did acacia. Alright, go big or go home. I don't have dark oak in here yet, but we have everything else. Let's see if it works. Mangrove. Flashing archwood. Okay, that is going to be a problem. That's going to keep going. And going to drain all the mana. Chop that. There we go. Okay, so except for the whole thing with running out of space on the fell, that actually worked really, really well. It went through every single tree. And basically, once I have everything filling up these guys, as well as somehow telling that comparator what to do, we'll figure that out. I think that'll work. I need to figure out this. How are we on jungle? I don't really trust the jungle to work if I don't have Fortune Law. But I definitely need another AoE on there for the flashing one. Took a little bit more, and I think that was because maybe I was still chopping some of that. I'm not entirely sure. But overall, that was pretty successful, I'd say. Let's try that again, just to see that it wasn't some weird fluke. Let's get our flight so we can see... flight, please. So there were 9 saplings from the jungle in there. That worked pretty well, actually. Still 9. So we didn't get a sapling back from that, and that was even with Fortune. Okay, but I don't like the chances of it having that... it would have made sense if it were to chop it down... Oh, because that is the furthest part. Because this fell, it's aiming up, so it's going to chop from the top down, which is why there's some left. Interesting. We might have to do something about that, but I'm not entirely sure what. An extra turret could maybe work. Like if I'm powering... If I send power into the base here, I might chop it down. It has to be aimed up in order to get the mangrove. If it wasn't for the mangrove, I'd actually have it aimed this direction with a touch spell instead of projectile, just to chop it down faster and chop it from the bottom. Obviously, then we wouldn't have that problem anymore. But overall, it does work. I now have 2 helpers here. One is Treetho, and the other is, well, also Treetho, because I didn't bother renaming it. I think we've got a working system. So what I did was I took this grow spell here, and instead of it being grow 8, I put a break on there. What that does is it ensures after every single time it grows here, it's going to break this block, which means this will always be able to plant to the next sapling. Basically, if we watch it now, I can start you. I have this set to loop around. I just have it currently removed, so it won't continuously loop. But you can see it breaks the block there. And I think that seems to fix it so that it no longer is left with the bottom whole section here. In the event that it can't do that whole thing, it will try to grow the next one. It's always acacia. This was not planned as part of this clip. I'm curious if we just pretend that everything's okay and we let it go again. You know what? Still counting as a success. Even if that one ends up getting missed, it'll eventually get chopped down the next time it chops down a tree, because it's going to grow up through it, because trees do not consider other trees a blocking thing, apparently. At least sometimes. Worst case scenario, it'll eventually loop around to the acacia again, and it will grow another acacia sapling into the acacia and grow it that way. But this seemed to work. It didn't seem to care. So I think this is a good success. You here, this works. One thing is the sticks, moss carpet, and mangrove roots. They are going to fill this up pretty quickly. I have these 2 squirrels here, as well as a tablet of fast squirrels, which basically gives them a speed boost here. Overall, it works. They are a little slow still. I might need some more helpers in here. I also have them set to path to the dirt path here, which is kind of a fun way to get that anyway. If we take a block here, let's grab a grass block. So in order to get a path, you can't just silk touch path. It'll just turn into a dirt. What you need to do is place it up high and hit it with a gravity spell. So if I take this in here and you are touch and gravity. This makes any block behave as sand, and it falls down, so that can silk touch blocks. But if we turn that into a path block, I said if we turn that into a path block, you can go away please, and then hit it, we now have a path block as an actual block. So I have them running around here. They prefer to go on the path, which kind of, it gives a nice little area here. I like how this looks on the inside. I'm not entirely sure what I want the exterior of this building to look like, but I think that will be a task for later. All in all, we have ourselves a tree farm. I'm quite happy with it, and I think this is where we're going to call it for now. This thing's working. These chests are all filling up except for the dark oak, because that's not currently lined up yet. But the rest of these are working pretty well. This one's almost full. These are probably, the archwood's probably almost all full. Oak, not too bad either. I think I'm going to let this run for a while and see if we can get it to fill up. In theory, it should stop powering these guys here pretty soon. In fact, maybe I'll just do a couple here while we're waiting. It's going to basically drain this out entirely. Once this is full, it's then going to be powering on the comparator, which is going to stop the hopper, and it's going to stop filling up the pedestal, which means it's going to stop sending these pedestal items over to there to be planted. So all in all, I think this is going to be working pretty well. Squirrels, like I said, they can't quite keep up in this. Keep running, please. Just go around me. But yeah, I'm happy. I think this works. I've got a tree farm, and I might have to break into the log market here on the server. But anyway, this has been Zeeg777, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.